Welcome to the International Leadership Foundation 2021 Virtual Leadership and Business Conference. I am Lin Huang, Executive Director of ILF. I'm excited that we are back together. Today, we will hear inspiring stories from leaders in both public and private sectors. Before we continue, please stand wherever you are for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Alan, for that wonderful rendition of the national anthem. Hi, I'm Kimberly Yee. I'm the State Treasurer of Arizona and past award recipient of ILF. I can attest to the importance of the work ILF does for the future of America. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, back to you, Lynn.
2020 was a challenging year, but especially for the AAPI communities and small businesses. A number of businesses were closed, and many of them will never open again. The spread of Asian hate has made it even more difficult for AAPI community. There are over 6,000 cases of AAPI hate incidents reported. Many of them included racial slurs, and most horrifying incidents involve attacks against the elderly. The goal of this conference is to acknowledge the journey that we have been on together, celebrate our resilience as a community, come together during these dark times, and ride it out together. We are not out of the woods yet, but we want to point towards the future, focus on recovery because we are stronger together. There will be challenges to face, but we must use this crisis as a moment of transformation. We must be part of the solution, and building up the next generation of leaders is one way to do that. We must enable the next generation to go into leadership positions, be it corporate or inside the government. Focus on and work on policies that impact all Americans, including Asian Americans, so that we have a voice at the table. We need people who look like us to fight for us. The work we do together is really important. Please meet the ILF community and learn more about our mission.
The International Leadership Foundation was founded by Chi-Ling Tong and Joel Sabat, with support from business and community leaders throughout the country. Dr. Paul Hsu is currently the chairman of ILF. Solomon Chen is the president. The Honorable Elaine L. Chao is the honorary chairwoman, and the Honorable Norman Mineta is the honorary chairman. ILF has a network of national advisory boards and global advisory councils. Composed of civic, business, and community leaders, they help prepare the young generation to become leaders in politics, economics, science, culture, and art. For the past 20 years, the International Leadership Foundation has conducted the following annual programs: the Civic Fellowship Program, Youth Leadership Academy, Leadership and Business Conference, Global Exchange Program, and the annual Awards and Scholarship Gala. ILF promotes civic engagement, leadership, empowerment, and economic prosperity of the AAPI community to enhance the representation of diversity in our country. Our mission is to develop young leaders in the fields of public service, entrepreneurship, and international business through a network of business and community leaders. The ILF advisory boards have worked hard since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic to raise funds to donate PPE to hospitals, police departments, state and local governments, and other institutions. During these challenging times, ILF has also worked with the Department of Justice, FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office to stop Asian hate. We are stronger together.
Hi, my name is Ishani Mehta, and I'm a rising junior at the University of Pennsylvania. This summer, I'm interning at USAID in the Bureau for Democracy, Development, and Innovation. Erica L. Moritsugu is the Deputy Assistant to the President and Asian American Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander AANHPI Senior Liaison. She was the Vice President at National Partnership for Women and Families and has spent her career in the federal government and politics fighting for social justice and the empowerment of communities and individuals. She served as the Assistant Secretary for Congressional and Intergovernmental Relations at the Department of Housing and Urban Development under the leadership of Secretary Julian Castro in the Obama administration after being confirmed by the Senate in 2014. Please welcome the Honorable Erica L. Moritsugu.
Aloha, y'all. My name is Erica Moritsugu, and I'm a Deputy Assistant to the President and Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Senior Liaison at the White House. It's a pleasure to join you today for the International Leadership Foundation's 2021 Leadership and Business Conference. It was also a true honor and pleasure to meet with the ILF's 2021 class of Civic Fellows yesterday here at the White House. Thank you to Lynn Wong, the Executive Director of ILF, for inviting me to make a few remarks today. It's been a difficult time for the community this past year with persisting anti-Asian hate and violence during a pandemic that's revealed health inequities and taken a severe economic toll on the AANHPI communities, just like it has for so many other communities. However, under President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, we're on the road to recovery. Here's where we stand 6 months in. Record growth, record job creation, and workers getting hard-earned breaks. My role is to be a strong voice in the White House on behalf of the AANHPI communities, making sure that our community is included in that economic recovery. I work closely with the White House Office of Public Engagement so that the national AANHPI communities are engaged, and the White House Initiative on AANHPIs that connects the AANHPI community to the resources of the federal government. One of the ways that the president is addressing the specific needs of the AANHPI communities was by signing an executive order advancing equity, justice, and opportunity for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. This executive order established the White House Initiative on Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders and delivers on the president's commitment to reinstate and reinvigorate this historic initiative. I also want to highlight that amongst the many issues that the initiative is working on, it will focus on expanding economic opportunity for AANHPI families, including by advancing opportunities for AANHPI entrepreneurs and small businesses, supporting access to jobs and workforce training, promoting AANHPI participation and success in the private sector, ensuring workplaces are free from race and national origin harassment and other forms of employment discrimination, and also by ensuring that the AANHPI communities can access consumer and finance protections. As you can see, the president has charged us with a full and targeted agenda to build back the community. We look forward to working with you and all of our community partners as we focus on the road to recovery and move forward together. Congratulations on your event today, and mahalo for the opportunity to join you.
Hello, my name is Richard Jong. I'm a junior at Brown University and currently interning this summer at the U.S. Department of Treasury. Ambassador Katherine Chao was sworn in as the 19th United States Trade Representative on March 18, 2021. As a member of the President's Cabinet, Ambassador Tai is the principal trade advisor, negotiator, and spokesperson on U.S. trade policy. Ambassador Tai is an experienced WTO litigator. She previously developed and tried cases for the USTR, eventually becoming the chief counsel for China trade enforcement. Before transitioning to federal service, she practiced law in the private sector, clerked for district judges, and taught English in Guangzhou, China. Ambassador Tai earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from Yale University and a Juris Doctor from Harvard Law School. And now, please welcome the Honorable Katherine Tai.
Thank you, Richard, for that kind introduction. I hope you are enjoying your time at the Treasury Department, and thank you to the ILF for inviting me to address today's conference. For 21 years, the ILF has been an important resource for the AANHPI community. In providing scholarships and hosting conferences like this, you have given a platform to a generation of entrepreneurs, community leaders, and young leaders, and connected them with opportunities that help them grow in their careers. This has been a challenging year. The pandemic tested us in so many ways. Businesses closed their doors, Americans lost their jobs, and we lost friends, family members, and loved ones. Meanwhile, a rise in anti-Asian hate crimes showed that while our country has made so much progress, there is still more work we all must do. Even as I think about the collective challenges that we face, I get inspired when I reflect on the work that comes from your community. You have shown resilience in the face of racism and bigotry. You have persevered through a once-in-a-century pandemic. In the history of our country, we have faced obstacles and hardships, but each time we have emerged on the other side stronger. That is why conferences like this are so important. It is not just an opportunity to hear from business and political leaders. It is a chance for our community to come together, to learn from one another, and to bond over our shared experiences and backgrounds. I'd also like to give you an update on how the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative is empowering our entrepreneurs, and specifically aspirational entrepreneurs. One of the priorities for us in the Biden-Harris administration is demonstrating that government can tackle the biggest challenges as we face multiple crises. As the United States Trade Representative, that means developing trade policies that lift up our workers and communities. For too long, trade has helped certain sectors, while others have been left behind. To reverse this trend, my office is focused on a new worker-centered trade policy. By giving workers a seat at the table, by listening to their perspectives and getting their own input on how trade has affected them, we can create more durable policy that delivers shared prosperity to all. More specifically, I want this to be an opportunity to give a voice to small and medium-sized enterprises that are the foundation of our economy, as well as minority-owned businesses. Our goal is to ensure underrepresented communities are featured in our work. I said earlier that this has been a challenging year, but there are signs of things getting better. We are emerging from the pandemic, and life is starting to look more normal. In May, President Biden signed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act into law, which will help stem the anti-Asian violence our community has faced. As our businesses reopen, we are seeing strong signs of an economic recovery. In its first 5 months, the Biden-Harris administration has created more than 3 million jobs. That is more than any previous administration has created in its first 5 months. We look forward to partnering with you on continuing this trend to ensure that we deliver equitable growth to all of our communities. We still have work to do, but I'm more confident than ever in our future. Again, thank you for inviting me, and I hope you have a great conference.
Hello, my name is Tina Way Smith, the former Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our first fireside chat with 3 very distinguished speakers on empowering the next generation of civic leaders. Joining us today is former U.S. Secretary of Labor and U.S. Secretary of Transportation, the Honorable Elaine L. Chao. She is the first AAPI woman to be appointed to a president's cabinet in our nation's history, as well as the longest serving cabinet member since World War II. Joining her are 2 other AAPI trailblazers, U.S. Representative Michelle Steele of the 48th District of California and U.S. Representative Young Kim of the 39th District of California. They are together the first Korean American women in the U.S. House of Representatives. Please welcome Secretary Elaine Chao and Congresswoman Michelle Steele and Congresswoman Young Kim.
I'm so glad that we're all able to gather, albeit virtually, for this year's ILF Gala. It is always such a pleasure to be able to assemble for the ILF organization, their mission, and the wonderful interns and ambassadors that they have. I'm so delighted today also to be able to moderate a panel discussion with 2 huge stars, and they are Congresswoman Michelle Steele from California and Congressman Young Kim from California. I, for one, am so proud of them. They have been community activists, community leaders throughout their adult career lives, and they've done so much, not only for our community, Asian Pacific American community, but also our country. And I'm so glad to welcome them to Washington. So now they're the stars, so let's focus on them. And I want to have you hear what they are thinking and what they are going to talk to you about. So first of all, I've been asked to ask the question about recognizing the experience of being the first. And so once again, Congresswoman Steele, Congresswoman Kim have broken barriers and have blazed new trails for Asian Pacific Americans and all Americans from underrepresented and out of mainstream kind of populations about what it means to represent our country. And I'm so, so proud of them. So I'd like to start with Congresswoman Steele, and then I'm going to ask the same question for Congresswoman Young Kim. You've broken barriers in race and gender. How would you talk about this achievement in terms of what it meant to you and what you think it means for our community? So Congresswoman Steele?
The first day, actually, I stood in front of Capitol. I had the teary eyes. I came here when I was 19, and I have an accent. I speak Korean as my first, Japanese as my second, and English is my third. And I'm representing constituents in my district. And we have actually almost 70% of the constituents are white and 18% Asian Americans. You know, I never really thought that I broke the barrier. I always thought that we all worked together. There's no way I came this far without Asian American community's help and all community leaders' help. And especially Secretary Chao, you've been role model and I've been watching you. I always wanted where you are standing there that I wanted to follow. So you know what? This is not just what I did, but it's a group things that everybody worked together and I came here. I am just so proud of not just myself, but the Asian American community. And, you know, we achieved the American dream. America is the greatest country that somebody like me can get elected. So I always want to tell younger generations that, you know what, instead of breaking the barrier, I know it came this far. I think you guys can do much better than me.
Terrific. Congresswoman Young Kim?
Yes, thank you. I echo much of what Michelle just said. We are here because of the trailblazers like Secretary Chao that have been there before us, and you blazed the way and created the path for us to follow. And now we are also doing the same thing like what you did. We're leaving the trail behind us, hoping that others will follow, but be better than what we're doing. And so to answer that question, I'm just so honored and I'm humbled to serve the community I've called home for decades. 39th District is really special for me because this is where I raised my 4 children. This is where I worked in a private sector before I got into politics. My first time working in Ed Royce's office when he was in the state Senate and continued on with his election to Congress. And now I get to be one of the first Korean American women to serve. So it's truly an honor. But the message I want to give is that if an immigrant from South Korea like me and Michelle, we can come to this country, and I had to work hard. I mean, working full-time, going to school full-time. And then, you know, we started a family. And then now, you know, I thought I was doing well in the private sector, but once I got into the public sector, I kept going. There's no turning back. And as you know, in 2014, I got my foot in the door as the first time elected member serving in the California legislature. And now I get to represent my community in Congress. As Michelle mentioned, we are living the American dream. And so I can say the American dream is very much alive and real. So, you know, it really means so much to me to be able to give back to the country that gave me so much opportunity. Now we're able to contribute to the national discussion and at the same time serve the community I love. So while it's an honor to be one of the first Korean American women to serve in Congress, I hope and I know that we won't be the last. So I hope stories like mine and Michelle can inspire others to achieve their dream just like we did.
Terrific. Well, you two are very, very modest, but we're going to celebrate your milestones anyway, because you two have achieved so much. So at this point, then, let's talk also about, you know, how do we foster the future female leaderships? And so how would you encourage greater female participation in policymaking and also in civic engagement? And maybe again, Congresswoman Steele, we'll start with you, and then Congressman Young Kim.
You know what? We always been asked, not just as a first generation Korean American, but, you know, how are you going to handle your family? How are you going to handle that, you know, your kids? How you get involved with politics? I think fundamental question that they always ask every woman that it starts with the family. I think all the families are actually both sides has to be responsible, husband and wife. It's not just wife. I have a great husband that I've been married to him. This September comes, it's our 40th year anniversary coming up. So you know what? I have a great husband who supports me no matter what I do. He pushes me out there. And since then, you know what? I came here when I was in college. All the policies, I was not really familiar with those policies. And I didn't even know what was going on. So every step of the time, actually, I discussed with my husband because he's been in politics since he was 14. So, we've been talking about the history. He's a history buff. So he's been telling me that this is the way it is working, but what do you think? He always gave me those, so I give all the credit to my husband to begin with. But you know what? Female participation is just perfect for the, any local to national elected positions because we are very sensitive. We know every details. We can go something that men cannot see, I think, because according to my husband, they're looking at only big pictures. So you know what? It's going to be much easy when you start reading, you study, and then history, and you're looking at it. Then you know what? It's going to be much easier that what is direction that you really have to go. So it's not like female or male, but you know what? Every step of the time, you have to study and prepare. That's the most important part. So I think women, men, it doesn't really matter. Asian Americans that, we just come out and do it. So I never really felt that because of I'm female, that, I have to have this I have to be included this participation. No, you know what? It's all general things. So female, male, it doesn't really matter. But we Asian Americans, we have to a little more aggressively just going out there and study and get ready.
Congresswoman, thank you. Congresswoman Kim, what do you think?
Well, I think it's really helpful that young women and girls now can look at members of Congress and see more women who are here representing our communities and getting things done and making our voices heard. I think by now, people know that the class of 2020 has the most number of women elected to serve both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. And Michelle and I are just a small percentage of that large class. And we're just so thrilled to be part of that because we get to use our voices and we get to use the platform that we're currently in to make sure that our issues that are really important, especially for women, especially for young, girls that are trying to get into politics, into policymaking areas, in the think tank areas. Now they have more people like us, and we can encourage them, we can lead them, we can pull them from behind, pull them from, front. So there are ways that we can really encourage them to also get involved. Women, as you know, are consensus builders, and they know how to get things done and work through the gridlock. I, for one, I always take pride in saying that I am a mother of 4. They all turned out okay. And so I know I could handle members of Congress. Bring it on. I mean, even if there may be more men over there, there are a few women who can handle the members of Congress, especially men. So I hope that Michelle and I and other women can encourage other women to go for it, run for offices. But, obviously not everybody starts by running for office. So we would love to be there for them, just like you've been there for us, Secretary Chao. Michelle and I, we now have the opportunity to bring on more young women, young ladies, high school students, college students to get into the internship programs and fellowship programs that our offices are offering. So there are many, many ways that we can do it. Again, trailblazers for us allow that opportunity for us. Now it's time for us to pay forward.
Well, let me follow up on that with Congresswoman Kim. So, we often hear from young women who say that they face obstacles. And so what current obstacles do you think hinder, particularly Asian American women, women of AAPI background, from stepping into the political office or appointments? And how do you suggest to young women interested in going into politics and seeing some of these barriers or hindrances? How would you advise them? Then I've got another question about your campaign, so don't give everything away. Just talk about this part. Like what kind of current obstacles hinder women, particularly women of AAPI descent, from stepping into the political office or appointments? So Congressman Kim, I'll start with you.
Yeah, let me give a very, very quick feedback. I think sometimes women are encouraged to or think that they have to remain quiet, especially if we're Asian American women. The general perception is that we're supposed to be very submissive. We're not supposed to speak out. We're not supposed to stand up for anything, especially within our AAPI community. And because we're so-called the model minority, we're supposed to be very quiet. Well, I think we're proving otherwise. So we just need to speak up and get involved, and just, when you have an opportunity to, apply for different experiences, fellowships, just go for it. Just do it.
Okay, so then I'm going to ask this follow-up question. Then I'm going to ask Congressman Michelle Steele. So when you were on your campaign, what did your participation in other people's campaigns, for example, teach you about entering the political arena?
Well, number one, sleepless nights. It's just like when you have a baby, immediately for the next few weeks, few months, even until the baby starts growing up and be on their own, you're going to lose sleep. So get ready for long days traveling across your district. And also the campaigning doesn't stop once you're elected. I've seen this because I've worked for Congressman Royce, who served in Congress for 26 years. Before that, he was in the Senate for 10 years. I worked for him for 23 of those amazing years that he served. And every 2 years in Congress, we've gone through the election campaigning process. So I've seen the rigorous schedule. But it's exciting to be out in your community and talking to different groups about what their concerns are. The engagement, the interaction, the opportunity to build networks has been probably the most rewarding experience for me. And now, taking all of that experience, I get to be one of the effective members in Congress to serve their constituent needs. And I always remember, my constituents are my bosses, and they elect me to serve. So it is my job to deliver right now. And I'm going to plug in for, how my first 6 months have been. During that time, I've been, named as the most effective. I'm sorry, Michelle, you are too, but I've been named the most effective bipartisan freshman so far in this Congress. And I have 7 bills out of the House, and 1 has already been signed into law. So I'm very, very glad that I've been able to put all of that into practice and figure out a way to work across the aisle, bringing my Democratic colleagues into this whole, way of getting things done for my district.
So thank you so much. Congresswoman Steele, you have held the top positions in statewide office. And you've been a tremendous leader, and you have a great deal of experience being a principal yourself. So I'll ask the 2 questions together, but please take your time in answering them. Number 1, what barriers do you see Asian Pacific American women having when they are considering entering public office? And then secondly, based on all of your campaign experience as a principal yourself running in your own campaign, what advice do you have for other young women who want to run for public office?
I have a very shy personality. So I couldn't even speak in front of 2 people. Every time that I see my high school friends or, younger, like grammar school friends, they said, "Are you the same Michelle, right?" Because I was so shy. So I was actually listening to you, Secretary Chao, because you were talking about one time that you kind of try to not to ask questions because you might gonna get embarrassed. You told us one time, and I was listening to you, and I said, you know what? And then you said, you know what? Somebody else was asking same question actually, and I was thinking that whatever I'm thinking, that I think I should really let it out. That was really important. I think a lot of Asian American community, when we are not really used to speaking in front of public or going out there and debating, or you really like almost like arguing with other people, especially for your candidates. That was the most tough. I cannot really say other women or other people, but I think a lot of Asian Americans feels the same way, especially I went through that and it was very tough. I still going through it. Like I'm speaking on the floor, and then, instead of that, I'm speaking in front. I always try to find the microphone in the back so nobody can really see me. But you know what? That's the way I am. And that's the way I was raised. I think I grew up a lot and so much. I mean, now that, when I'm speaking like this, I mean, sometimes I am so surprised that, what I'm doing. During the campaign, I did 5 elections and I won all 5. I know I have a goal that I'm never going to break that record again for next year election cycle. But it is a hard work, what Yang said. You know what? Last year, I was chair for Orange County Board of Supervisors. We have 3.2 million people. We had to go through pandemic. And I had to fight against our governor who was enjoying his dictatorship, and he shut down all the businesses. I am the one actually went out and I opened up the businesses with safety guidelines, and then governor retaliated that closed down all Orange County beaches. So I had to fight and I had to do campaigning at the same time. But only one thing I did was, end of the day, did I do the best today? Did I put full efforts in it, that whatever I can? Then you know what? I did the right thing and I move on. Every day was totally new day, and every day was fighting. Every day was the toughest day for last actually 18 months during the campaign. But you know what? You do your best every day, then you know what? You're gonna win for the election or any other things. I think that's the only advice I can give to younger people.
That's terrific. Now, I'd like to shift to a serious topic that I know all 3 of us at ILF have worked very, very hard to try to address and improve. And that's the whole issue about anti-AAPI hate and COVID-19 difficulties that we've seen in the past year. You 2 have been great leaders in forging the path ahead. And so I'd like to ask, as leaders in your communities, how have you approached the anti-AAPI prejudice and violence? And let's go with that first. I have another question, final one, but let's go with that. And Congresswoman Michelle Steele, can we ask you to address that issue?
Sure. It's been always out there. So when I was last year chair of Orange County Board of Supervisors, I actually introduced the resolution that the hate crime is not, there's no place in Orange County. So it was more of the general things. It was during the pandemic. So more of actually Jewish people and other communities. But when I win after the election, we saw a lot of Asian Americans that they get attacked. And that cases, over 6,000 cases. So the first thing I did was bipartisan resolution that I introduced. It seems like it's so partisan in this Congress. It's still in Judiciary Committee. And one of the Democrats actually introduced that passed. I support it because it's for Asian American deal. But I think more of that we really have to see the facts versus what we really get. The facts is it happened from China, Wuhan lab. So you know what? That's why people calling in Wuhan means that we really have to study. It really came out, should not repeat again for this kind of things. And we're never going to have this kind of disease that, we don't deserve this. So we really have to find out. That's the one thing. But for AAPI hate, then you know what? I found out that only 2 states out of 6,000, maybe more cases as of now, that 40% came from California, and second highest, it came from New York. Both of states have the same thing, just one same common things. Both governments were totally shut down. Means people want to go back to work, businesses, and that's why they need a scapegoat. So that's the reason I think AAPI was attacked. So we actually sent out that how to prevent this kind of attack for Asian Americans. But at the same time, I think we really have to raise voices. A lot of our communities are very quiet. They never really report this kind of things. You know what? When record says 6,000, I think it must be more than double. We really have to speak up, and then we have to report, and we have to do the rally, not under the radar and try to hide that, you know what, if I I'm gonna endure, then everything's gonna be fine. No, I think Asian American has to really speak up and then go out there and show how angry we are that when we are targeted. So that's what I've been doing in our community. That's what I've been doing in my district.
Thank you so much. Congressman Young Kim.
Sure. I think your question had to do with how have I approached the anti-AAPI prejudice and violence. I see what's happened over the last year and a half has been really heartbreaking, especially as an Asian American. So I've used that as an opportunity to educate my not only fellow colleagues, but our community, the mainstream in general, that hate and bias targeting any ethnic group is not acceptable. And it's not reflective of the country that welcomed me and my family into this fabric from South Korea decades ago. And recently, we've also seen not just the hate crimes against the AAPI community, but against the Jewish community. Right here in my own district, there is a local college where the student government has voted to defund any funds to support the school, class, like organizational activities if they support Israel. That is just unacceptable. So I've been using my voice as one of the first Korean American women and as one of the first minority community representative to serve in Congress to speak out against these issues. And I've been very proud to be able to support the AAPI community in light of those hate crimes we've seen targeting our community and other minority communities in general. And I worked with my colleagues to pass a bipartisan bill to provide that local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies with tools to better address those hate crimes. I know Michelle was also on that, and I know she talked about her resolution, which is pretty much in concept the same thing. The language is pretty similar, but obviously under the current situation with the Democrats in control, they passed the Democrat resolution. I mean, we're not trying to be partisan over here, but when we are trying to work and address this issue in a bipartisan way, I think it was pretty frustrating to see the partisanship at play. And I also think it's very important to remember that while this bill is an important step, that we cannot forget that we cannot legislate hate out of our hearts and minds. We're all Americans. Therefore, we must treat each other with respect.
I guess what I'm also hearing from both of you is the importance of AAPI civic engagement, that it's really important for all of us to speak out and to participate as members of a free country, a democracy. And so for those who are reluctant or afraid to do so or don't know how to do so, maybe we can wind up this conversation by having you kind of give people advice as to how do they get involved. And because sometimes people don't know how. Congresswoman Michelle Steele, why don't we start with you?
You know what? Actually, you remember that all these Asian American communities that they always took pictures with the elected ones and they were very proud of it. I think they should just ask something to do for their own community. You just show up and you really participate. I just saw all the younger generations of fellows this morning, and they were just amazing. They said, what we can do to make our parents to show up. I said, you can help them. You can take them and you can translate for them, because a lot of first generations that they are afraid that they might gonna make mistakes when they are speaking English. But you know what? They're gonna listen when they show up, these constituents. So I think Asian American communities, I think now that second and third younger generations, they can come out and they can help their parents to participate. I think that's gonna be the start. And these, we have great future with all these younger generations. And I think when first and second generations are really participating, that's going to make everything open the door for the younger ones.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much. And Congresswoman Young Kim, what do you think?
Sure. There are many organizations that are already encouraging our community to be civically engaged. We are speaking to ILF attendees, so this is a great example of how ILF has worked over decades to encourage our communities to get involved and get engaged in policy discussions, and especially in the last year and a half in combating the anti-AAPI hate crimes. Just encourage them to get involved. That's why, I just echo everything Michelle just said, but I will end it by saying it is so important for our community to collectively come together and speak out on issues impacting our community. That's why Michelle and we've been so humbled to be able to speak out as one of the first Korean American women serving in Congress, joining our colleagues on the other side, Meng and other members that have also been very supportive of ILF, and also APAPA. There is a cause, there is Korean American Coalition. There is so many organizations that represent our AAPI community. So find out where they are. Just type in Asian Americans in your Google Chrome, and you'll hopefully get a list of all these wonderful organizations that have already done great work. And we will just add and supplement the work that our community organizations are doing. And for Michelle and we're just getting started.
Yes, you are. And we want to thank you for your leadership, for your courage. It's hard to be in the arena, so to speak. And you've been great leaders on the outside, also on the inside, and now in the United States Congress. We are so proud of the both of you. Thank you for what you do for our community, but also, very importantly, thank you for being role models for the rest of America as well. And with that, I think we're going to be finished unless there's some ending words from either one of you.
No, we're still grateful for the opportunity to join you, and for everyone who's watching. Keep doing what you're doing, and that is staying engaged. Yes. And let's make a difference together.
Great.
I'm just so honored to be invited. And, I love to be a mentor like what Secretary Chao's been doing. And you know what? I think we all work together. We're going to make our second, third generations of AAPI community, younger generations, they can come out and they can be really in the mainstream, and they're going to dominate.
Thank you both so much for your time. I know that you just rushed from the floor after making your respective speeches just to join us. And I also want to commend ILF for doing such a wonderful job in bringing us together in promoting the Asian Pacific American community, and to Chilling Tong also, who's the founder of ILF. Thank you all so much for sparing the time today. Bye-bye.
During these challenging times, ILF works closely with congressional leaders to fight for issues impacting our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our AAPI congressional leaders.
Hello, my name is Munahil Sultana, and I'm a rising sophomore at Franklin and Marshall College, currently interning at the United States Agency for International Development in the Middle East Bureau. Representative Judy Chu became the first Chinese-American woman elected to Congress in history. Representative Chu currently serves on the powerful House Ways and Means Committee, which has jurisdiction over legislation pertaining to taxes, revenues, Social Security, and Medicare. One of Representative Chu's proudest accomplishments in Congress is introducing and passing a congressional resolution of regret for the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. Please welcome the Honorable Judy Chu.
Hello, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and as the chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, or what we call KPAC, I'm so happy to be joining all of you today for the 2021 International Leadership Foundation Leadership and Business Conference to help recognize some of the amazing leaders in the AAPI community this year. I especially want to recognize ILF for the work you've done. Not only have you been a steadfast leader in encouraging AAPIs to enter public service, entrepreneurship, and business fields, you also stepped up this year in a real way to help us all through the pandemic. Thanks to your work, you helped donate over $31 million and 10 million pieces of PPE to help over 2,500 institutions. That's incredible, and I know it made a difference, especially for the thousands of AAPI nurses, supermarket employees, teachers, and others in frontline jobs that we depended on to keep this country running. Not only did they risk their own lives so we could continue with ours, but they also did it in the face of an historic rise in anti-Asian bigotry and hate crimes and higher than average infection and mortality rates from the coronavirus. Fortunately, we've started to turn a corner. Following the horrific attacks on 3 Asian-owned spas in Georgia earlier this year, America woke up to the reality of anti-Asian hate. And with the help of the business community and many leaders here, we helped build a national movement of awareness and action. Thanks to this work, we passed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act out of Congress with bipartisan majorities in both the House and Senate. This bill will help improve hate crimes tracking and reporting, and I will never forget standing behind President Biden as he signed it into law, sending a very clear message that AAPIs are not alone. We also passed the American Rescue Plan. Thanks to this historic investment, the end of the pandemic is closer than ever as more Americans get vaccinated every day and businesses continue to welcome back workers and customers. And so, as the economy continues to reopen, we need to begin focusing on rebuilding, and that means helping more Americans return to work. That is why our top priority in Congress is rebuilding our economy by investing in infrastructure, everything from new roads to more childcare. But given the disproportionate impact of the pandemic on AAPI communities, we need to do more to make sure they are included in the recovery. That means ensuring AAPI-owned businesses have an equal shot at infrastructure projects, preserving historically AAPI neighborhoods, and making sure resources are available in languages other than English so they're equally available to the AAPI community. And it also means working with small community lenders in addition to the big banks so that all entrepreneurs can get the support they need. But we can't do it without your help. So thank you for all your work to get us through the crisis and helping us start to rebuild. Thank you for your support for the AAPI community, and thanks to your efforts to promote AAPI leaders. Certainly, with your help, we can ensure we build a recovery that works for all of us together.
Hello, my name is Victoria Mui. I'm a junior at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and currently interning this summer at the U.S. Department of Treasury's Bureau of Fiscal Service. Congresswoman Grace Meng is serving her 5th term in the United States House of Representatives. Grace represents the 6th Congressional District of New York, encompassing the New York City borough of Queens, including West, Central, and Northeast Queens. She is the first and only Asian American member of Congress from New York State and the first female Congress member from Queens since former vice presidential nominee Geraldine Ferraro. She is a member of the House Appropriations Committee and is vice chair of its subcommittee on state and foreign operations. Congresswoman Meng has fought to expand opportunities for communities of color, young people, and women, and she secured resources to help local small businesses. Please welcome the Honorable Grace Meng.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng from Queens, New York, and it's an honor to send greetings to everyone attending ILF's Leadership and Business Conference. Thank you for inviting me to join you virtually. The past year has been an extremely difficult one as COVID-19 wreaked havoc on our country. The virus devastated our economy and so many families lost loved ones. And for the Asian American community, it's been a painful and struggling year. Those of Asian descent have been blamed and scapegoated for the pandemic, and as a result have been forced to endure a surge in hate and violence. Over the past year and a half, the Asian American community has lived in terror and fear. Asian Americans have been beaten, slashed, spat on, and even killed. More than 6,000 acts of violence have been reported across the country, with over 2/3 being reported by women. And those are just the numbers that we know of. But I believe better days are ahead. On May 20th, I joined President Biden at the White House as he signed my COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act into law. This was an important moment for our Asian American community. This bill, which I introduced with Senator Hirono, will go a long way in combating this ongoing bigotry and racist attack. And I look forward to this new law having a significant impact on the problem. One of the things that was so helpful in getting it to the finish line was the incredible solidarity that we have seen from so many different communities. Solidarity that has made the Asian American community stronger and more resilient. I look forward to the day when our children, our parents, and our grandparents can walk safely in their neighborhoods without fear of being attacked. We are closer today than we have been over the last year and a half, and I'm hopeful that we will get there. Other reasons for optimism in our country is that more and more Americans are getting vaccinated, and our nation's moving full speed ahead with our recovery. Our economy is rebounding, and more small businesses are fully reopening. We're not out of the woods yet, but America is making much progress, and we're getting closer to the light at the end of the tunnel. One of the other initiatives that I've been championing in Congress to address the long-term xenophobia and intolerance against the AAPI community has been to push for the teaching of Asian Pacific American history in our schools across the country. And I've introduced a bill to promote that effort. From the Chinese Exclusion Act and the incarceration of Japanese Americans to slaves building the U.S. Capitol, our students must learn all of America's history, and that includes all communities of color. We can't focus on tearing down the walls of biases and discrimination that have existed for generations until our kids have a full teaching of what American history truly is. In closing, I again want to thank the ILF for inviting me to address the conference. Thank you for the tremendous work that you do and for taking the time to listen. I wish you a wonderful and successful event and hope that you all stay healthy and safe. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chloe Meisel. I'm a rising senior at Michigan State University, currently interning this summer at the U.S. Department of Treasury in the Bureau of Fiscal Service. Representative Amua Amata Redwagon was elected as American Samoa's third member of Congress on November 4th, 2014. She is the first woman to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives from American Samoa, the first Republican woman of Samoan descent in Congress, and the highest elected Asian Pacific Republican officeholder. Congresswoman Amata serves on the House Veterans Affairs Committee in a senior role as vice-ranking member of the full committee, as well as two of the subcommittees, the Subcommittee on Health, along with the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations. She has been involved in promoting democracy and fighting for women's and minorities' rights since the beginning of her career and helping build democratic institutions abroad. Please welcome the Honorable Amua Amata Redwagon.
Talofa lava. It's always a delight to speak to the International Leadership Foundation and say a few words in support of you and your purpose. So much came to a halt in 2020, and it's wonderful to be on that road to recovery. I appreciate your theme this year, moving forward together. Times were tough, but your mission didn't stop. In fact, the International Leadership Foundation is more needed than ever. Our young people are seeking their way forward. They're still determined and ready. ILF helps create those early opportunities that can be part of a life-changing series of choices in a career path. Through all of you, ILF is able to provide an open door for them, and then young people can use their own initiative and find the momentum they need. We all enjoy the results as these young adults show their energy and creativity, learn leadership and networking, and see their life's work come into focus. I would encourage our students to be inspired by the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders now in leadership in many fields, public and private. Like ILF scholarships, all their success stories start with learning. Since 2015, I've enjoyed working with excellent young Asian American and Pacific Islander professionals, interns and fellows, and recommended many of our young people to the service academies. It's a privilege to see them get started, and this generation fills me with optimism about our bright future. So, keep up the good work. You are making a difference. Before I go, let me say thank you to my dear friend, Chiling Tong. I've seen her leadership firsthand through the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and I know how much ILF means to her. Congratulations to every ILF scholar, and thank you to everyone involved in making ILF a success. God bless you as you move forward together. God bless the United States of America and American Samoa. Paftai and Soifua.
Hello, my name is Justin Fernando. I'm an incoming senior at Michigan State University, and this summer I'm currently interning at the Office of Insular Affairs within the U.S. Department of the Interior. I'm here to introduce Ka. Ka is a Vietnamese-American pop soul singer and songwriter who was born and raised in the D.C. area. She has performed as a guest singer at a number of venues, including the White House, the Kennedy Center with Stevie Wonder, and the Lincoln Memorial. Most notably, she was a featured soloist on the steps of the U.S. Capitol for the 53rd presidential inauguration ceremony. She's performed in various cities throughout her travels across North America and Asia, as well as in Europe, where she used to live. Ka also spent a year traveling back and forth to Nashville, where she co-wrote and recorded her debut original album with Grammy-nominated writer and producer Johnny Black and producer-engineer Chris Raffetto. Retrospective Love is now available on CD and all major streaming platforms. Please welcome Ka.
Not gonna let you hold us down. We're gonna rise up and stand our ground, and we won't keep quiet no more. You lured us overseas, fed us lies so we'd believe that we could have everything you have. And we built your railroad tracks while you walked upon our backs. But in the end, we never got our half. With dynamite and rope put in our hands, all so you could go and take more land. But no more. We're not gonna let you hold us down. Gonna rise up and stand our ground, and we won't keep quiet no more. We bled for your dream, but it wasn't what it seemed, 'cause you could never never see us as the same. So when the red sun came to rise and bombs fell from the sky, we turned out to be the ones you'd blame. You took our rights and all our liberties and put us in internment on our knees. But no more. We're not gonna let you hold us down. We're gonna rise up and stand our ground. And we won't keep quiet no more. We fled from your wars and landed on these shores. You told us this was the land of the free. And so we played your game while you tried to change our names. 'Cause you wanted model minorities. All those years of suffering and pain, it feels like nothing's ever gonna change. But no more. We're not gonna let you hold us down. We're gonna rise up and stand our ground. And we won't keep quiet no more. No, we won't keep quiet no more. No, we won't keep quiet no more. No, we won't keep quiet no more.
There is no doubt that the AAPI community has had more than their share of suffering in the last year, due largely to the COVID-19 pandemic, but also compounded by the rise of Asian hate incidents stoked by unfounded fears and perpetuated stigma. The first step towards dismantling these dangerous stereotypes is recognizing that anti-Asian prejudice is deeply rooted in American history. In education, public messaging, particularly from elected officials, and other community-based programs aimed at reconciliation and repair are more likely to reduce the incidence of hate crimes. We need to make sure that people understand the history of Asian Americans in America, that we have been a fabric of this country for centuries, and in that sense, we are not foreigners to this country. Rather, we are a part of this country. To this end, ILF's mission is to promote the public service and economic effectiveness of the AAPI community, as well as develop young leaders in the fields of public service, entrepreneurship, and international business and politics, is how we can do our part. But we need your help. Please go to the link on your screen to make a donation to support our mission.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founding president of ILF and CEO and president of National A's, Ms. Chiling Tong.
Hi, everyone. It is great to be here at the annual ILF Leadership and Business Conference. 20 years ago, Joe Zaba and I started ILF to help the next generation of Asian Americans develop their full potential, not just for them, but because it is good for America. The AAPI community is the fastest growing racial group in the country, growing over 4 times as rapidly as the total U.S. population, and is expected to double to over 47 million by 2060. The combined buying power of the AAPI community is expected to increase to 1.3 trillion by 2022. Despite this tremendous growth, AAPIs are one of the most underrepresented racial groups in the country. Yet AAPIs in corporate leadership position across industries lags far behind the rate of our population. Representation of AAPIs in the public sector is just as important as in the private sector. In the 117th Congress, there are 21 AAPIs elected officials among 535 members of Congress. During these challenging times, we are also dealing with two illnesses, COVID-19 and the anti-AAPI bias. But given all that, we are very proud of our heritage and values. We are not foreigners. We are Americans. Together with the next generation of young leaders here, we stand up against racial bias, discrimination, and fear. I firmly believe that America is the land of opportunity, where everyone can reach their fullest potential. Let's welcome the founder of ILF, Joe Zaba.
Thanks, Julie. Thank you for joining us. Since Julie and I founded the ILF in Sacramento back in 1999, our core mission has remained the same: to promote the civic awareness, involvement, and effectiveness of the next generation of AAPI leaders. America's founders believed that government derives its powers from the consent of the governed. Our mission is to ensure that the voices of AAPIs are heard among the governed, and that the community's future leaders have the tools they need to make our government answer to them. Way back in the 1830s, a French philosopher came to America to observe what made this fledgling democracy unique among the countries of the world. Alexis de Tocqueville wrote that Americans did not wait for government to identify and solve their problems. Americans, he said, organized as citizens to fix the challenges that mattered the most to them. It is Chilling's genius that ILF is organized around this most basic principle of American democracy. 20 local chapters in cities and states across the country are the heart and soul of ILF. Our chapter presidents and advisors help identify future fellows, develop and train high school students, support first responders during the pandemic, and organize to stop Asian hate. In short, they do everything that has made Americans exceptional since our country arrived among nations. So, to all of our advisors, thank you. You are the role models and mentors for our fellows, and you are all great Americans. Enjoy today's program. We couldn't have done it without you.
Hi everyone, welcome to sunny California. Today I am at Visio corporate headquarters to meet with 3 amazing Asian American business leaders and executives. You'll have the chance to hear their personal stories of overcoming barriers, achieving success in the business world, and giving back to the community. So come with me, let's meet them together.
Hey, well, you swear you cannot stop. What am I going to do with you? Excellent. Yeah. Good to see you. Pleasure. Good to see you. Thank you.
We will meet Dr. Paul Hsu, a successful immigrant tech entrepreneur with deep commitment to public service. He's a true example of the American dream. We also meet Solomon Chen, a serial tech entrepreneur and innovator, founder of Superior Communications, providing solutions to the wireless industry. And we also meeting William Wang, founder of Visio, one of the leading television brand in America. His company just went public, valuing at over $4 billion. William, let's start with you. You know, your company went public valuing at $4 billion. Congratulations on your success. But before we talk about Visio, take me back to your college dormitory at USC, because we have many students here in the audience. How did you do in college and what inspired you?
Yeah, I love college, and it was a lot of fun. This is first time I get to live by myself, pretty much, with my family. And as a matter of fact, it was a little bit too much fun. So I spent a little bit too much time with all my friends playing video game in the arcade back then. There's no video game for PC. Back then, we were playing a lot of video game in the arcade. So I didn't really spend enough time study, going to class. So I regret it, of course. But my GPA was pretty low because of it. And as a matter of fact, my GPA in college was 2.3, 2.4. And I did graduate from USC. And but however, all my friends in college, they ended up going to grad school. I couldn't go to grad school because the graduate school of electrical engineering USC rejected my application because of my low GPA. I couldn't find a real engineering job because of it. And so back in 1986, I had no choice but get out of college. And so for 4 or 5 months, I was looking for a job, and finally I found a job for this computer monitor company. And so I graduated in June 1986. Now until November I found a job. So so I went to work for them for $1,750 a month.
Wow.
It was pretty low considering I had a degree from USC electrical engineering.
Yeah.
So that was a long time ago.
At the beginning of your career, you were mentioning that you were making $1,750 a month, but very soon you became a millionaire. When did you make your first million, and how did you get there?
So I went from a technical support specialist and became a product manager, became a product marketing manager, and about 3 years into the job, I ended up handling the entire U.S. sales and marketing for computer display. So at the time, I was making $6,000 a month. And however, because I do have electrical engineering degree, I feel pretty comfortable with the product. I want to build a better product for the consumer. The product category was computer display at that time, computer monitor. So I keep on requesting the bosses who I work for to build a better product, but they don't want to do that. They want to follow whatever the customer asks me to build. So in 1990, I decided I'm going to start my own business because I want to build a better product for consumer. And I did that. So in 1990, I became an entrepreneur. At that time, I don't even know how to spell entrepreneur back then. I don't understand how to read balance sheet or income statement. As a matter of fact, I don't know the difference between the cash flow and balance sheet and income statement. So I became a CEO since 1990. I made my first $1 million quickly. And before I was 30 years old.
I also would like to invite some of our students to ask questions as well.
As a business executive, you travel around the world, and on one of your trips to Asia, the airplane crashed on takeoff and burst into flame, killing 77 people, but you survived. Take us back to that moment on that day. What went through your mind?
Yeah, it was tough because it's most people don't have to live through a crash. So I was in the first row of business class, and the plane was in 165 miles per hour, and we're halfway in the air, and the plane hit the construction equipment, and I first heard this crazy sound, not really loud, just like this, somebody knocked on the door, and immediately I was leaning to the left. So the first thing was my mind was, this is it. I'm dead. You can't take off on a 747 tilting to the left. So the first thing was my mind was, this is it. And the second thing was my mind was my family. The flashback, my family, my mom, my dad, my wife, my daughter. And next, I had a tremendous relief because I felt like, I had no more headache. And just flashed through me and say, you had no more headache, nothing to worry about. It's kind of like a sense of relief. And immediately, nothing happened to me. So I got up and started running. So I went into survival mode, and so I opened the door and getting off the plane.
So you started Vizio to sell TV, and this is a very saturated market. There are many giants in the TV space, and when you decided to go up against them, people thought you were crazy. So why did you do it?
Because my background, because I know a lot of people. I've been in the display industry obviously for many years now. I know all the players, I know the component manufacturer, I know the manufacturer overseas. So I knew I can build a TV for around $2,500 and still make little money. So I did that because I believe the market need affordable digital TV. Flat screen digital TV, I want one. But my wife won't let me spend $15,000 buy a Sony. So I said, I'm gonna build it myself because I knew the people who can help me make that happen. So I started Vizio. That's the only reason I started Vizio. I started Vizio because I knew I can make a difference to bring the best technology, flat screen technology, digital TV into the market at an affordable price. So our first TV officially went into production. Our first flat screen TV was 42-inch plasma digital TV at $2,000.
Fast forward to March 2021, Vizio is selling over 80 million TV sets in the US, and the company went public valuing at $4 billion. What was it like to ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange? What went through your mind and seeing Vizio on that large screen TV?
It was a very exciting day for me as an entrepreneur. Going public is every single entrepreneur's dream. I was on a podium, and the moment I rang that bell, I felt like I'm a Olympic athlete, been training for years and years and years, and finally I'm on the Olympic podium receiving a medal. And that was my Olympic podium moment as an entrepreneur. And I think speaking for all the entrepreneurs out there, if you keep on going at it, if you keep on doing the right thing, I do believe all the entrepreneurs will have the opportunity, and I'm flattered I was able to do it 19 years later. And it took a lot of sacrifice, but at the end of the day, that particular moment is definitely worth it for me.
Vizio is a great company because of your vision and your leadership, and you have so many great people working for you. And operating in a hyper-competitive environment, how do you inspire and encourage your team members to thrive and excel in this environment?
We live competition. We started with $600,000, and look at what we built so far today. And to get here today, this is not just me. As a matter of fact, it's always been my goal that I want to build Vizio to be an enterprise. Enterprise made of many, many talented people. And in the beginning, it was my entrepreneurship. Now I'm just a smart part of it. I want my part to be smaller and smaller and smaller over the next few years. That's one of the reasons we went public. And I believe one of my main responsibilities and roles is bringing those talent who are willing to help me achieve my dream, who are capable to help me to take Vizio to the next level. And together, as a team, we can build a better and stronger and better brand and a better company. That's what we're here for. To be disruptive, you gotta take chances. Right? You gotta take risk. And I'm a perfect example, right? And I was David when I first started it with $600,000. When I started Vizio, we took down some of the major industry giants like Sony, Panasonic, all the Goliath in the industry. Right? To do that, you need to disrupt. You need to disrupt how we do business, how they do business. You need to disrupt how we do pricing, how we do product and technology. Disruption take risk, and all the risk takes experience. Some of the experience that nobody have experienced before. So So it's tough. So I always believe that just like me, I failed many times, right? Unfortunately, I never went to management school. I never got my MBA, but at the end of the day, I pay a lot of tuition. My first business, the one I saw in 1990, I lost a lot of money towards the end. And when I went to USC, because I didn't study hard enough, I failed. I couldn't get into grad school. But good thing about life is you always have a second chance. As long as you can go at it, I believe eventually you will become successful. You gotta have faith. You gotta have that vision. You gotta have that faith, and you gotta have tenacity to keep on going until you make it perfect. I would like to see all my team of people make no mistake, right? I prefer not to have mistakes. But it's okay when people face a mistake, and what it is we can't let a mistake happen to us twice, right? As long as the mistakes are affordable, we'll let people make a mistake. But the bad things about being business, we took on risks, we make a mistake, and next time we'll correct it. My first business, I was micromanaging. This time around, I hire better people. I don't want to make the same mistakes twice. And this time around, we're going to build a better team. And before I was building my own entrepreneurship. I was micromanaging. So today, for me, it's critical for me to build a company bigger. So as an experience I learned from my mistake before, I would like to see all my team members do the same.
William, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and with all of our students. Appreciate you for being here. And also, I'd like to ask Solomon a few questions. Solomon, you're the founder of Superior Communication, very successful company and thriving as well. What inspired you to start your business, and what have you enjoyed most in starting your own company?
Well, my story is a little bit different than William's. I don't have a degree. I was in college for about a year and came to United States with literally no money in the pocket, no family. You really don't have opportunity to find a job. And I was here to helping one of our Taiwan company subsidiary in San Francisco. I was working there for about 6 months. After that, I left the company. I tried to figure out what am I going to do in this land of opportunities. Yes, I start a few business here and there. I starting with pagers. Maybe younger generation don't even know what pager it is. Alphanumeric pagers. And I was trying to stay focused in aftermarket. And yes, that's how I started. And it's a fun. There's a lot of responsibility. It's nothing easy. But for me, it's a good experience at that young age.
You mentioned that running a business is hard. There's so many ups and downs in running a business. What challenge did you have to overcome at the beginning of your journey?
I think the most tough part, if you flash back, is maturity. I had my moment. I made some good money at the very beginning of the time. And you got direction messed up. Then you try to expand it too fast. Your foundation is not solid. You start making mistake. And like what William mentioned, good thing about it is always second chance in life, right? I got my second chance. I held on to it. And just, you have to buy their hearts. When things happen, looking for solution rather than excuses. And nothing's free in this world. You just have to do it.
We have many students who want to start their own business after college. What advice would you give someone who's trying to start a business? And also, what are some of the good qualities of a successful entrepreneur?
I think everybody want to be an entrepreneur. That's very fascinating. You see Elon Musk, you see William, you see Paul, you see a lot of good people. Even you see Bill Gates. These are entrepreneurs. But entrepreneur is a matter of a responsibility. And it's a lot of responsibility you got to carry. And it's not easy, but you need to understand what you get yourself into, because always a lot of challenge. Not necessarily the same challenge, but they'll come in different form and shape to challenge your weakness. If you can't buy the bullet hearts, you cannot continue has an endurance on that, then you will have a bad result. So at the end of the day, the survival rate of a true entrepreneurship are very, very minimum, right? So knowing what you want, don't fantasize, what entrepreneurship should be nice and flashy, and knowing they're going to be hardship going to hit you hard. And you have to bite the bullet very hard on that too.
Being an entrepreneur is tough. It is tough and very demanding. For you personally, how do you define your success? What does success look like?
I think success is more into the balance. We all working hard at the end of the day, all for the family, for the people we loved, and for people who work together. At the end of the day, not necessarily for ourselves. Ourselves becomes what William mentioned, in enterprises, you want to take company public, you want to make sure at the end of the day, it's involvement to the business getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You want to give it back to the people who share the same passion with him. That's what I agree with about that. And I think success is coming multiple direction, multiple dimension. But more importantly, I think taking care of the family, loving yourself, taking care of the people who loves you, taking care of people who have been working hard with you, I think those are very important things. Giving back to society, that's all very important too.
Solomon, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'd like to ask Dr. Xu to share his story as well. Dr. Xu, in your book, Guardian of the Dream, you remind us that immigrants built America and continue to enrich our nation with their devotion, ingenuity, and hard work. You yourself, an immigrant, came from Taiwan, came to America as a young man with very little, and despite all the obstacles, you achieved success and living the American dream and also advising U.S. presidents at the highest level. Share with us your initial journey to America and what inspired you.
Well, I'm just very honored to be here with William and Solomon, and all three of us were from Taiwan. And so I still remember it was a very long journey to America from Taiwan. And even today, I remember I got out the Greyhound bus from Kansas City and at the campus, and not realize that if you fly from Asia to America, you kind of gain a day. So that was Sunday. I left Sunday, I arrived Sunday, so nothing open. I could not register, and immediately I thought, where I'm going to spend the night, and because I was not a student, and the dorm lady says, well, there's lots of Holiday Inns around here, and I keep thinking, the Holiday Inn 40 years ago, it cost me like $15. But that's a big percentage out of the $500 I have in my pocket. So I could not spend $15 at the Holiday Inn. So I spent my first night in this great country of ours in the janitorial closet, and just happened to have a couch there. So that's how I start my journey in America. It felt like just like yesterday. What a great country that we have here. And I'm just grateful to be here. So.
Yeah. You mentioned that it was very challenging at the beginning, but you mentioned something that's really struck. It was that land of opportunity, that you can do anything. For you, how did you take advantage of that experience?
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "The future actually belong to those people who believe in their own beautiful dream." So we are fortunately in America. People don't really care about the color of our skin or who we are or where we're from. They care about what idea that you have. They care about how successful you're going to be. So it is truly a land of opportunity.
Dr. Xu, you're very successful in the business world, but something that, really stuck out to me and I have tremendous respect for is that you're always giving back to the community. And one way that you're doing that is through the Xu Educational Foundation. Could you share with us a little bit about that initiative, the vision behind that, and what inspires you to give back?
Well, if you look ahead for the next decade, I say this: almost every job created in this great country of ours always will be science, technology, engineering, mathematics related. We call it STEM. And so why not make sure that you educate your kids and let them understand these are the fields for the future. I remember Confucius once said, well, if you have 1 year plan, you plant rice. If you have 10 years plan, you plant trees. If you have 20 years plan, you start educate your children. So that's really, it's kind of our responsibility. I'm very fortunate. I'm like Solomon, I'm like William. I did found my American dream. So I think it's a time for me to give something back and provide them a way that we can lead more kids to the water like ILF.
So for many of our students here today, many of who are Asian American students, they have a passion to give back to their community and to serve in the public space. What advice do you have for our students today?
Get involved, really understand. Do something not only just good for yourself, good your family, but also good for the community. Asian American community is such a, in a way, it's a small community compared with all the other races. But I think the reason you want to get involved is because, to me, the future of America is more than just a melting pot. I think the future of America is going to be like a salad bowl. We all have our own identity, but we work together. We work together for the common goods over the country. So white, black, Asian, we all have our own identity. We don't want to lose that, but we work for the common goal. So I think that's the reason why I encourage the AAPI, the Asian American kids, really kind of get involved, kind of open your eyes and open your horizons and just be part of these great movement, great country, great future. So it's a really exciting time when you look at it.
Why is it important for AAPI to be involved in civic life?
Because we are lack of involvement in the civic life. We all engineers, we all entrepreneurs, and we all architect, and we don't really have that many politicians. Of course, Asian especially don't really want to get involved too much on the politicians. But again, in reality, the politician making policies. So if you want to make sure that the policies of this country is making not only good for yourself, good for your family, good for your community, you really need to get involved. You need to know what kind of a policy that you like to see, the education, you know, how they going to get involved in your life. And that's the only way I think you can make your entire community better, by really getting involved on the policy making.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dr. Hsu, for sharing your inspirational story with us and your continued work and leadership. We really appreciate you. And gentlemen, I really enjoy talking to you, learning about your story and the great work that you're doing. Wishing you continued success on your journey, and look forward to interacting more in the near future. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We will now proceed to recognizing our distinguished awardees.
Hello, my name is Victor Ficara, and I'm a graduated senior from Penn State University and a rising freshman at Temple's Beasley School of Law. This summer, I'm currently interning with the U.S. Office of Insular Affairs. William Meng started V Inc. in 2002, a company that designs and sells televisions and soundbars. His idea was to combine low prices with high quality and exceptional customer service, and to make this approach profitable through extremely lean operations. He later renamed the company to Vizio Inc., sharing a name with its flagship plasma TV. The company is now one of the largest sellers of LCD HD TVs in North America, with a multi-billion-dollar revenue. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. William Wang.
Mr. William Wang is recognized with the ILF Entrepreneur Award as an AAPI mentor and trailblazer, and for his remarkable drive, persistence, and willingness to take risks.
Thank you, International Leadership Foundation, for this recognition. It is an incredible honor to be a recipient of this prestigious award. I am proud to be part of this community of leaders that seek to make a difference in our country and pave the way for the next generation of AAPI leaders. I truly appreciate all the great work ILF has done and continue to do so as we face future challenges together and work to improve our society for a better tomorrow. To our youth, college students, and young professionals, I would like to say mistakes are a part of life. But mistakes will define you only if you allow them to break you down. Learn from your mistakes and never give up. My GPA at a USC engineering school was 2.3 because I was lazy. But I turned that mistakes into hard work, and years later, the USC engineering school invited me back to deliver their commencement speech. In a previous venture, I lost over $40 million because I mismanaged the company. But 24 years later, I rang the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Whether you are building a business, running for office, or facing any of the life's challenges, be courageous and bold in facing and fixing your mistakes, and don't give up. As part of the ILF family, we're here to support you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nina Gohl. I'm a rising junior at Rutgers University, and I'm currently interning with the Environmental Protections Agency, Office of the General Counsel. Crystal Kai is the Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Her responsibilities include coordinating the federal government's response to anti-Asian violence and discrimination, while also increasing representation and opportunities for those communities. Ms. Kai previously served as the Executive Director of CAPAC, the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, and has extensive history in AAPI advocacy. Please welcome Ms. Crystal Kai.
The ILF Public Service Leadership Award is presented to Ms. Crystal Kai for her continued commitment to lifting up Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities.
Aloha everyone, it is so great to be here with you today for ILF's 2021 Leadership and Business Conference. As the new Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, or what we call ILF, I am humbled to be the recipient of this year's Leadership Award, and I want to thank ILF for this tremendous honor. I especially want to thank your visionary founder, Chiling Tong, as well as your incredible Executive Director, Lin Huan, for their tireless work to promote civic engagement and build a stronger pipeline for young Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in public service. ILF's programs are truly helping to foster our leaders of tomorrow by equipping young people with the skills, talent, and experience they need to tackle the challenges facing our nation. This work is more important now than ever as our community continues to contend with multiple crises due to the devastating health and economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the spike in anti-Asian hate and violence this pandemic has incited. That is why during my time as the Executive Director of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, I made it a priority to ensure that the AANHPI community was included in critical COVID-19 relief and recovery legislation to help workers, businesses, and families weather this pandemic. And it's why CAPAC pushed for the passage of Congresswoman Grace Meng and Senator Mazie Hirono's COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which I am so proud to say that President Biden signed into law during AANHPI Heritage Month in May. But we know our work is not over. It starts with ensuring a robust recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and putting an end to anti-Asian hate. These efforts are exactly what I've been tasked to do as the new Executive Director of ILF, and why I am grateful that we have leaders like President Biden and Vice President Harris who are fully committed to advancing equity, justice, and opportunity for all. As we work to coordinate a whole-of-government response that is inclusive of our diverse AANHPI communities, partners like ILF will be vital in helping us to build a brighter future for generations to come. So thank you so much again for this great honor, and enjoy the rest of your event.
Hello, my name is Chitsu Tenzin, and I'm a junior at Harvard University and currently interning this summer at USAID Bureau of Conflict Prevention and Stabilization. Bin Yu is the founder and chairman of Utegration LLC. Prior to starting Utegration, Mr. Yu worked for Deloitte Consulting and SAP America, where he led U.S. utility professional service practice. Mr. Yu started Utegration in August 2008, and with his leadership, the company has grown into one of the largest SAP utility practices in the industry. Mr. Yu became the chair of the Asian Chamber of Commerce in 2019. Please welcome Mr. Bin Yu.
Mr. Bin Yu is recognized with the ILF Business Leadership Award for his efforts to provide entrepreneurial opportunities to AAPI young professionals who are just beginning their careers.
It is my pleasure to accept this Business Leadership Award. Innovation is an essential step to getting ahead of business opportunities and is what makes a business successful one. Thank you for this great honor.
Hello, my name is Michael Zhu. I am a senior at Harvard University, and I am currently interning this summer at the United States Department of Justice. Bing Zhao is the founder of HarborView Foundation. After completing his dissertation at Columbia, Mr. Zhao swiftly rose through the ranks at Salomon Brothers. He left as vice president in 1997 to launch a hedge fund and investment advisory firm. Mr. Zhao has also been chief financial officer and a director of China Mineral Acquisition Corporation since 2004. He is also a co-founder and has been a director of Capital Bridge Investment. Please welcome Bing Zhao.
The ILF Global Leadership Award is presented to Mr. Bing Zhao for his philanthropic support targeted to fight the coronavirus.
Thank you, ILF, for Global Leadership Award. In these challenging times, AAPI's representation matters, especially in law and public service. I'm deeply committed to working with all stakeholders to build the next generation AAPI leaders and open new doors of opportunities. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Chen. I'm a rising junior at Columbia University and currently interning this summer at the Office of Airports at the Federal Aviation Administration. I'm here to introduce Dr. Xiao Tong, and he is a serial entrepreneur. Prior to his current startup, SmartLink Health Solutions, Dr. Tong founded and was the CEO of Infina Connect Healthcare Systems, one of the top 10 companies in the Wall Street Journal's 2013 Startup of the Year series. Dr. Tong was Ernst & Young's 1998 Entrepreneur of the Year, as well as a U.S. Presidential Service Award recipient. Please welcome Dr. Xiao Tong.
The ILF Business Leadership Award is presented to Dr. Su Tong for mobilizing the AAPI community to donate PPE and resources to fight the pandemic.
I am honored to receive the Business Leadership Award. My business achievements today are a direct result of the U.S. Air Force financial support of my PhD study. And ILF is a great platform to give back what I received. Thank you, ILF, for this recognition.
Hello, my name is Maya Liu. I am a rising senior at UC San Diego and currently interning this summer at USAID for the Bureau of Humanitarian Assistance. Carolyn Chu is Vice Chairman of Yuanta Futures and Director of Taiwan Futures Exchange. She is the Chairperson of ILF Global Advisory Council. Ms. Chu was a recipient of the 2020 Outstanding Business Leader from the National Brand Yushan Awards. She is the author of 2 books, Everlasting Wealth and 3 Triumphs of Wealth. Please welcome Ms. Carolyn Chu.
The ILF Business Leadership Award is presented to Ms. Carolyn Chao for her significant international leadership and contributions to the ILF Taiwan chapter.
I'm humbled to receive this Business Leadership Award. ILF's mission is supporting the youth become world leaders. I have the great honor to helping the future generation of leaders reach their full potential and pay back to the community. Thank you.
We would like to thank all of our advisors, chapter presidents, and sponsors for supporting this year's fellowship class, Youth Leadership Academy, and conference. Thank you, Superior Communications, Chenko Holding Company, Shu Educational Foundation, AT&T, Luke Charitable Foundation, APAPA, McDonald's Corporation, Comcast, Pyramid Systems, Global Federation of Chinese Businesswomen of Baltimore, Chuang Family Foundation, and especially our partners, Dao Feng and Angela Foundation, Harborview Foundation. Thank you.
You have heard from leaders in both the private and public sectors. You have seen the tremendous work that ILF and the AAPI community have accomplished together in the last year. We hope that you are inspired by these stories and gain a deeper understanding of our shared struggle and focus on moving forward together as a community. I would like to thank all of our sponsors for making this conference possible. And as always, please stay safe, and we hope to see you again next year.
I'm always delighted to come and speak to young people such as yourselves. And I want to congratulate you on your involvement with the International Leadership Foundation.
Hi, my name is Jasper. I'm a rising sophomore at Syracuse University and I'm interning this summer at the Hudson Institute. My advice to API, trying to be interested in public service and careers in government. Don't be daunted by any sectors where you don't see any AAPI representation. Don't be afraid to be a trailblazer and be the first one on the scene and open up paths for the API to come.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a rising junior at Georgetown and an ILF fellow this summer. And my advice to future AAPIs who are looking to get involved in public service and politics is just to take advantage of all the opportunities that you're given, to be deliberate about connecting with people who can really edify you and give you a lot of guidance, and also just to pursue excellence in everything you do.
Hi, my name is Angie Son and I'm an ILF Civic Fellow for this summer. I'm here in this beautiful park here in DC. We're gathered together with the fellows. If I were to give one piece of advice to young AAPI students who want to go into public service, my advice would be to get involved with the community. There's so many ways to make an impact and to contribute to your community, whether it's volunteering, helping out with a campaign, or getting involved with a good cause that you believe in.
Hi, I'm Andrew Wan and I'm a rising senior at Rice University. If I had to give any advice to AAPIs interested in public service, it'd really just be to ask a lot of questions and put yourself out there. I know when I started, I really didn't have any experience or any connections in public service, so it was really discouraging at first. But eventually, after reaching out to a lot of people, asking a lot of questions, I eventually was able to meet some mentors and people I could really ask how to navigate these opportunities and how this policy and public service world works. So that's been really, really helpful for me, and that includes the ILF family. It's been a very supportive community, and I think that's really the most important part of getting involved in public service.
Hi, my name is Eric. I'm currently an intern at the National Institutes of Health in the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I just graduated from the University of Washington with a bachelor's degree in computer engineering, and I'm hoping to utilize those skills helping NIH promote diversity and inclusion in their workforce, as well as just the general demographics with their employees. One of the questions that I'd like to answer is what it means to be an ILF Civic Fellow. And to me, an ILF Civic Fellow is committed to a selfless service that is driven by a desire to see the AAPI community rise, to seek equity and justice for the AAPI community. Through this program, I have the opportunity to network with an incredible group of leaders who support the AAPI community, and also build my leadership skills and train myself in this area. I want to thank all of the sponsors and everyone else who has supported the ILF program, who have made these opportunities possible for us, and I have really benefited and learned a lot from this program, and I really look forward to using these skills to continue supporting the AAPI community in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Nina Gohl. I'm a rising junior at Rutgers University. I'm currently interning with the Environmental Protection Agency, Office of the General Counsel. So one piece of advice that I have for other AAPI leaders is specifically do what you love above all else. Wherever your passions may lie, follow them as they will guide you into a lifetime of happiness and satisfaction. The pressure you may have to pursue something that you have no interest in is not worth giving up your hopes and dreams. And while those around you may not be supportive of your goals, take comfort in knowing that it's through your passions you will best achieve success. So I hope you take that piece of advice, and all the best of luck.